What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today when I talk to you about Beyond Meat, I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what is really moving it, and go over what isn't that big of a deal. Before we get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Beyond Meat is in the green, 0.48%, 102 the low, 106 the high, but very low volume. So 6.9 million shares being traded. 358 is the average. When it comes down to it, the market is somewhat freaking out over consumer linked data points again. So we had initial jobless claims coming at 232, forecast was 254. Despite it being lower than the forecast, still relatively too high, so the market didn't really like that. And then ADP change, the weekly, came in at negative 2,500. So again, not as bad as last week, but still does kind of signal that there's some cracking coming from consumers. So generally, this is one thing that's been a fear looming over the broader market for a while. So the market's a little bit freaking out, but there really hasn't been that much in news from Beyond Meat. No SEC filings. So last news did come out on November the 14th. So it's just been very speculative since then. One thing that I do want to bring up that kind of came up yesterday that a lot of bears seem to be kind of bringing up as a red flag is this. So Beyond Meat looks like faces securities fraud class action investigation due to impairment charge. So for those of you that remember, that's exactly why Beyond Meat pushed back their earnings 1 week, because of a one-time impairment charge. And turns out it wasn't really that big of a deal, but they are saying and kind of assuming the fact that it went down 23% that one day, it was unjustified. So in my opinion, a lot of these ambulance chasers don't actually have a lawsuit just yet. So this is something a lot of people don't really understand. They see this and assume that Beyond Meat is going to get sued out of like oblivion. But all these firms, what they're doing is they're trying to build a base to do a class action. And ultimately, if people don't sign up, then they won't have anything. So in general, I don't personally see this being that big of a deal. And as much as I always like to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, the honest truth, which a lot of people don't really generally do, but I don't see this being a big deal because I don't believe the company did anything fraudulent. And even though it was rather unfortunate by them pushing their earnings back 1 week, there wasn't really anything materially wrong with what they disclosed. So in my opinion, a lot of people are saying that this is like going to be the end of Beyond Meat. I think that those people are just grasping at straws a little bit. Aside from that, at the time of doing this video, shorts are increasing 646,000 shares. So going back over here, given the fact that there's about 7 million shares being traded, Beyond Meat's doing relatively good since a good chunk of that is linked to shorts. 18.65% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 82.13 million shares overall being shorted. I know a lot of people always like to bring this up. So 𝗖𝗓𝗡𝗖𝗧 does have right now for the outstanding share count 453.57 million, and as far as I'm aware, that is the most up-to-date and accurate number because it's all formulas behind the scenes, and if outstanding share count is a little bit higher, then technically the short interest is kind of inaccurate and wrong, right? So as far as I'm aware, I think 𝗖𝗓𝗡𝗖𝗧 finally did update that. So the true amount of shares being shorted is 18.65%. So let me know your viewpoint on that in the comments below. Aside from that, looking at the options, factoring in the market only opened roughly around 30 minutes ago, 149,000 in calls, 108 in puts, and then 45% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a nice recovery to at least $1.50, so that'd be a pretty good return. And it does look like the bears are anticipating for the week ending December the 19th for it to be sub 50 cents. So just keep that in mind. These are some of the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So one buy, one sell. So nothing too crazy. So the biggest thing for today and over the last week and a half has been algorithmic trading. That's been what's really moved Beyond Meat and most of the broader market, in fact. But these are some of the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So given what shorts are doing, it is fair to assume that both of these are linked to them. So hedge funds aren't really doing all that much. Right now, with it exactly at 105, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 96 cents followed by 84 cents is going to be support levels. Then 116, 136 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. Aside from all of that fun stuff, quickly popping right over here on the actual chart, things aren't really looking great, still below all the key pivotal moving averages that generally I like to look at. The only positive is that stochastic RSI is very overdone. So it's very oversold. So a good piece of news coming out from the company operationally, then you could see a nice push higher, or I think generally from the broader market standpoint. So we have a lot of big data coming out over the next couple of trading days. So we have FOMC minutes, we have Nvidia earnings and Walmart and a couple other things on Friday. So Michigan consumer sentiment, if that comes in positive, then that could be enough to really kind of cause momentum to really build again and push Beyond Meat higher. But as of right now, looking at the market position, you see a little bit more willing buyers. When Beyond Meat was going down, you saw pretty much everyone and their dog just pull all their orders, which was rather unique and interesting. But nonetheless, it does look like 93 cents seems to have been the bottom. And for those of you that tuned into my Patreon or even my stacked account, that's exactly why I did say that 93 cents was going to be a good entry, and then roughly around $1.15 would be a good potential exit. That is exactly how it did play out. So again, refer back to the fib levels for strong support and resistance points. So at the end of the day, I think Beyond Meat is going to be stuck in this range until we get some good macro data or potentially some good operational updates from Beyond Meat. But I think just generally from what I can see, big institutions, they are turning to risk off. So that is going to really limit Beyond Meat's upside in the short term. I know that might be unpopular opinion, but it is what it is. That's how generally momentum stocks work, right? You need people's appetite for risk to be fairly elevated, and then you need a lot of capital to be getting in before you see any crazy moves. So let me know your viewpoint on Beyond Meat. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing with Beyond Meat? And more of a Black Friday early deal, I am once again going to be launching this. So this is my stacked account where I put out buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, and I did have this $1 promo. I only had 50 members initially, so this was going to be only the first 48 hours of me launching it. But because of the Black Friday, I did extend this to 100. So if you're wanting daily day trades, numerous swing trades, pop over here. Only going to be the first 100 individuals. So take a look at that. Link in the description below and also the comments. But with all that said, appreciate all of you watching.